Great. Good morning. Thanks. Everybody is almost seated. And welcome to the HDF breakfast. I'm Clay Fowler, and I'm the board chair of the Housing Development Fund, something I've been very proud to be part of for many years. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all to our annual benefit breakfast. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging some of the dignitaries who are here. Mayor Carolyn Simmons, who is somewhere, and I think she'll be speaking momentarily. Commissioner Seila Mascara-Bruno is here, I believe. Yes? No? Well, thank you for her help. What? Yes, it's Stamford in the morning, and it's raining, so it takes 5 hours to get here. Took me a lot longer than I thought, and I only came from 4 miles away. And Nantini Nantajaran, who is the CEO of the Connecticut Housing and Finance Authority, is she here? Also stuck in traffic. Well, they'll be here shortly, and we want to thank them for their help in our mission of providing housing for those people who need housing. And thank you again for joining us today, and we're particularly pleased to be together. And we have a special occasion for lots of reasons, and one of them is, I don't know if the picture of our Washington Crossing job is up, but those of you who wish to go and visit the Washington Crossing job, which is our 23-unit, newly built, affordable housing project for sale, condominium homes, is just a short walk if it weren't raining, a short ride away, and we'll be visiting that at the end of the program. HDF is in its 32nd year of helping families gain access to affordable housing. We're a powerful advocate for affordable housing in Connecticut and New York. And through my tenure at HDF, I've seen it grow in size and influence over the years. And we've remained steadfast in our commitment to the individual home buyers who come through our doors. In fact, as of today, we've helped nearly 3,200 households achieve home ownership, with even more to come. HDF remains committed to assisting developers as well to expand the supply of affordable rental housing, and we've financed over 2,000 units in Connecticut to date. And we could not do this work without everyone's support. And this breakfast could not happen without the help of our wonderful sponsors, a couple of whom I will name, including Bankwell, Goodnow Fund, M&T Bank, People's United Bank, as well as Spinnaker Real Estate Partners and the Per and Astrid Heidenreich Family Foundation. Thank you all for your support. I didn't have to prompt anybody for that. That's amazing. And now I'm delighted to introduce our new mayor of Stamford, Mayor Carolyn Simmons. A couple of points. In 2014, Carolyn Simmons was elected to represent Stamford's 144th House District. She's a passionate advocate for women and minority-owned businesses and has helped pass legislation to provide more grants and access to capital for entrepreneurs and startups, as well as supporting small businesses and job growth throughout Connecticut. During her time in the legislature, she was also a member of the Higher Education and Employment and Human Services Committee, and previously Caroline worked at Yale University at Elevate, a policy lab to elevate mental health and disrupt poverty, which is based at Yale New Haven Hospital. Prior to this, Caroline worked at the Women's Business Development Council in Stamford, where she helped promote entrepreneurial, financial, and professional development training programs for women across Connecticut. I would like now to introduce and have Caroline come up for a second. She's an old friend of mine. I've known her for 10 minutes. do fist bumps today, or whatever, those elbow bumps.
Thank you so much, Clay. I feel like we go way back. And good morning, everyone. It's such an honor to be here with you all this morning, and great to see that the rain and the early breakfast didn't hold anyone back from coming here today. It's wonderful to be together in person, and just delighted to be here with all of you. And I want to first start by thanking Joan Carty and your incredible team for the remarkable work you do to support this organization for so many years. You're literally the heart and soul of this organization, and since your days in the Peace Corps, you've been a passionate advocate for affordable housing, and just want to give you a big round of applause for the work you do. And to all of you in this room, whether you're in real estate or finance, bankers, private equity, lawyers, all of you contribute to this mission, and the work that HDF does would not be possible without each and every one of you, and the critical role that you play to provide a pathway to homeownership and more affordable rental housing for so many families in Stamford and throughout the region. So I want to give all of you a big round of applause as well, and thank you for the work you do. And we all know that we are facing a housing crisis across the country right now, and housing is becoming so expensive and so out of reach for so many people, and particularly those who are most vulnerable among us, our seniors, low-income families, our immigrants, the disabled, veterans. And that is why it's organizations like HDF that are so vital to breaking down that barrier and to making that pathway to affordable homeownership possible for so many people. And I think especially as we saw during this pandemic, the challenge of housing insecurity and how disruptive that can be to a community, and the eviction crisis that we were on the verge of facing, and how many people face displacement from this pandemic. It's all the more important that we have incredible organizations on the ground like HDF that are providing that stability for families. And as mayor of Stamford, I couldn't be more proud to say that one of our top priorities is to make our city a more affordable place, a more equitable place for everyone. We've seen such incredible growth in our city. We're now the second largest city in the state after Bridgeport. We've seen an influx of 10,000 new residents over the past decade, according to the latest census numbers, which is an incredible thing, right? And it just represents what a vibrant, wonderful city we have, that people want to move here and want to live here. But we have to make sure as we're growing that we're not pricing people out, and that we're making our city as affordable and equitable and inclusive as it can be for everyone that wants to live here, and for our workforce to support this city. And so I want to thank you for the work that you do to make homeownership more affordable and to make it possible for 3,000 families. That's remarkable. And to make rental units more affordable for thousands of families. And it's not just about having a roof over your head and being able to live in a safe place. It's about the dignity of being able to own a home, the dignity of having a quality place to rent and live. And it's about economic mobility for families and the ability of families to pursue their dreams. And I really believe, as the Declaration of Human Rights stated back in 1948, that housing is a human right. It is a human right. It's critical, and it makes up the dignity and opportunity for so many families in our city. So thank you so much for the work you do. Know that you have a partner in the city of Stamford, and we look forward to working with all of you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor Simmons, for your welcome, and thank you also for your support of the Housing Development Fund and for the affordable housing cause in this community. Your understanding and concern for the issues that face our citizens in search of affordable homes has been remarkable. We truly appreciate your willingness to make our community accessible to everyone. Good morning, I'm Joan Carty. I'm the President and CEO of the Housing Development Fund, and it is really great to see everybody here today. The last time we did an in-person event was in 2018 in this room, and just as the pandemic has kind of agglutinated a lot of time periods for all of us, it doesn't feel like that was yesterday, but it is really great to see your smiling faces. Thanks for being here. This breakfast marks the 12th annual breakfast event, and we want to give a very big thank you to our many sponsors who are listed on that great, huge banner over there, which I think they had to get a forklift to put it up. I'd also like to ask our board to stand. They really deserve, they're the backbone of our nonprofit and deserve, I think, a round of applause. So Clay Fowler, Michael Chambers, Michael Hunter, Scott Gerard, Bert Hunter, Barbara Kelly, Willard Miley, Marjan Murray, Kathy Romagnano, and Michael Weinstock. Could you stand for a minute and we can... Thank you so much for your guidance and support. It is invaluable to all of us at HDF. You know that producing an event like this requires the help of many, and I'm grateful for this year's planning committee. I would like them also to stand for a minute. Michael Chambers, Clay Fowler, Cynthia Russell, and Michael Weinstock. I also want to take a moment and recognize the staff of the Housing Development Fund who are sprinkled around this room. I'd like you all to stand. Every day they work as a team to make a tremendous difference in the lives of many people. Their work creates homes, not just places to reside, but places where people can truly begin to transform their lives. Please stand for a minute. I'd also like to give a shout out to Liz, Chris, and Gabby for putting together this event. There were myriad details that go into making something like this happen, particularly when we've kind of lost our muscle memory about being in person. So thank you all for all the craziness that went into this and for staying calm and staying focused and getting us to this point. So it's now my immense pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this morning's program, Marietta Rodriguez, the President and CEO of NeighborWorks America, the country's largest and most influential housing and community development organization. As President and CEO, Marietta works with senior executives and nationally renowned experts to leverage the power of public-private partnerships. She has a proven track record of leadership and accomplishment, creating and executing strategic initiatives that address some of the toughest challenges facing low-income families, homeownership, foreclosure prevention, community building, and engagement. Marietta is responsible for leading NeighborWorks America's programmatic support for its 245 member organizations and nonprofit partners. Whether capacity building, technical assistance, grant management, or relationship management, she has met or exceeded metrics for success while developing and mentoring her staff at all levels. Her notable accomplishments include managing a national down payment assistance program of over $300 million to support 17,800 new home buyers around the country, positioning NeighborWorks America as a leader in executing timely housing solutions by anticipating and identifying the biggest foreclosure crisis in American history during the Great Recession, launching the NeighborWorks Center for Foreclosure Solutions that formed new industry partnerships focusing on building capacity for housing counselors, working with servicers, and government agencies on systemic change. Please join me in welcoming Marietta to the stage.
Good morning. I have a little recurring tendonitis in my right ankle, so these steps make me nervous. So thank you for your help. Good morning. I am so very happy to be with you today at long last. The HDF breakfast has been on my calendar as a running date for the last 2 years, and I'm grateful that we can be out and about, albeit very cautiously, and I'm excited to be here with you and celebrate HDF in this way. I'm going to plan to talk about the importance of homeownership in the spectrum of affordable housing options, and the special role that this organization and this community plays in New York and Connecticut, and how nonprofits really are the backbone of affordable housing across the country. As some of you know, the Housing Development Fund is a chartered member of the NeighborWorks Network. which is made up of nearly 250 local organizations dedicated to helping people live in affordable homes, improve their lives, and strengthen their communities. As a chartered member, HDF can take advantage of everything that NeighborWorks has to offer. For example, we provide grants, training, technical assistance to each of the members of our network and beyond. Each organization is an independent nonprofit that is held to the highest standards of governance, finance, and program management, and impact for the people in their communities that they serve. It should surprise no one to learn that the Housing Development Fund has been at the top of every one of our standards for every one of the 11 years they've been part of the NeighborWorks network. And that's not easy. NeighborWorks America has been around for more than 40 years, and our origin story is a homeownership story. In the 1960s Pittsburgh, a homeowner on the northeast side, Dorothy Richardson, was concerned that her redlined neighborhood was deteriorating, and she determined that she was going to stave off urban renewal and the impacts that might have on her and her neighbors. The organization she founded, Neighborhood Housing Services, brought government, banks, and residents together around the same table to assure that the investment would flow back into the neighborhood and stabilize it and protect the generational wealth that homeownership uniquely provides. Her work laid the foundation for what became the Neighborhood Reinvestment Corporation, now doing business as NeighborWorks America. We were established by a bipartisan act of Congress in 1978, and we were fortunate to have received an annual appropriation every year since. We use that congressional appropriation to invest in all 50 states where we have organizations, including the District of Columbia and the island of Puerto Rico. Dorothy's original model, our model now, a partnership of collaboration between residents, nonprofits, government officials, financial institutions, and the private sector, is the only one that makes sense to create lasting pathways to affordable housing, lasting pathways to homeownership and generational wealth. As we know, and as history has taught us, none of us can be successful on our own. America has an affordable housing crisis. You heard it from your own mayor this morning. And we all know it. We read about it every day, and we see it in our neighborhoods, in our schools, and unfortunately, on our streets. People, families, children, seniors are struggling without safe, affordable, decent places to live. So you ask, why homeownership? Isn't building affordable rental housing faster and maybe more efficient? NeighborWorks America and our network supports all types of housing: rental, homeownership, traditional housing, shared equity, anything to increase the supply of affordable housing in our country. We need a multitude of solutions and strategies, but within the spectrum of affordable housing, homeownership, frankly, has a special place. Homeownership can be very empowering. Homeownership helps stabilize neighborhoods and communities. Homeownership can be a key component to building generational wealth. How many people have gotten a foothold into the middle class is through homeownership. I did, and it's still the American dream. Last year, in fiscal year 2021, the NeighborWorks Network created over 22,000 new homeowners, generating over $5.2 billion of investment in communities. That's 22,000 homeowners during a pandemic when prices were skyrocketing all over the country and the supply of homes, especially affordable single-family homes, it was even in tighter market. So let's talk about what HDF has accomplished in its 25 years that they've been helping low to moderate income families become homeowners. I hope you're ready to be impressed. Thanks to the financing through HDF, 3,171 families and individuals in 170 towns and cities have become homeowners. The total amount of down payment and closing costs deployed by HDF is over $120 million. That's investment directly into this community. And the total amount of first mortgage financing leveraged by HDF's partner banks, many of you are here having breakfast with us, totals nearly $516 million. That's a lot. And yes, you can applaud to that. So you might ask yourself, so why has HDF been so successful? What's their secret sauce? Well, it has lots of ingredients. You start with a visionary leader like Joan Carty, a top-notch staff, and a very committed and involved board. You cannot get around the need for strong management and accountability, and when you're dealing with millions of dollars of capital and the financial future of thousands of people. Number two, you need financial supporters and investors, banks, financial institutions like many of you who are willing to invest and make capital available to HDF to lend. You need strong partners in the government and leaders who recognize the importance of stable, affordable, quality housing for their constituents. And of course, builders, architects, realtors, lawyers, accountants. It's quite a team, and we need strong working relationships with everyone. You need tools and programs. HDF has managed 16 different down payment assistance programs, each with its own terms, bells, and whistles. They can account for every penny. Never underestimate what a nonprofit can do every day. You also need partners in the nonprofit community. HDF has a strong historical track record of building capacity of other nonprofits to help low and moderate income families become homeowners. Their Smart Move down payment and closing cost product gives other nonprofits more tools in their toolbox, more ways to find successful clients. There's more to the secret sauce. You need to serve your customers well. HDF services are seamless to customers. Service revolve around prospective homebuyers and not the other way around. Customers don't care which of the 16 down payment assistance programs they qualify. They just want down payment assistance. Serving customers means that meeting customers where they are, providing education and counseling so that people can make good decisions about their housing future. I just told you that HDF helped 3,171 households purchase their home, but they provided education and counseling services to nearly 7,000 clients, teaching them everything they need to know about home buying so that they can make a good decision. Everyone benefits from homebuyer education, regardless of their income and regardless of when they buy. I'm case in point. I bought my first home at 25 in a very high-cost market like this one with the help of a NeighborWorks organization in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Trust me when I tell you that I didn't know everything there was to go into buying a home, but purchasing my home with the help of that network organization put me on a trajectory to be perhaps where I am with you today. That's a story for another day. But not everyone will be ready to buy a home, but everyone will know what their options are. A success sometimes is making someone aware that they have more financial work to do than just showing them a house or instead showing them how to get there. It also means that they work with someone that they can trust, a set of service providers, and I think HDF really embodies that. Nonprofits stay with homebuyers. We know that they follow the homebuyers throughout the home buying process and after they've gotten into the home. We make sure that folks don't fall through the cracks. And if they get into trouble, like being laid off or falling ill during a global pandemic, the nonprofit is there to help. This relationship is particularly important because of all of the resources now available to help people who are still feeling the impact of COVID-19. Because of the impact of inflation, because of the affordability crisis, it's really tough out there. Supply of homes is tight for people at all income levels. We are in danger of homeownership becoming the luxury for only the wealthy. According to the Harvard Joint Center of Housing Studies, there were 1.03 million homes on the market in February of 2021, down from about 1.46 million the year earlier. That's almost 500,000 fewer homes. A 29% in just 1 year, 29% decline in just 1 year, and 37% drop from 2 years ago. Numbers like that can shut out low to moderate income families out of the homeownership market, and they just can't compete. Of the 22,000 homeowners that our network helped create last year, 52% had household incomes under 80% of the area median income. That's a decade low. In 2011, 72% were under the 88% of area median income. What's more, our network reported over 25% increase in the median home price for our new home buyers in the last 2 years. I bet that sounds low in this market. That's why strategies like HDF's Community Land Trust are so important. It helps expand the inventory of permanently affordable homes. I know we are going to hear a lot about the condos in Washington Crossing in a little while. A land trust is one of the shared equity models that creates pathways to home ownership and wealth building. Shared equity is shared ownership, and these models help community members access home ownership, wealth building, and stability, everything that home ownership offers. Nonprofits can put people in houses that traditional markets just can't serve. And we want to extend the opportunity to all those who are interested in home ownership, and that includes many who are the backbone of communities: teachers, policemen, firefighters, home health aides, custodians, child care workers, all of those who we came to know as essential workers during this pandemic. Traditionally, the underserved and marginalized people in communities must have a better access and a stronger pathway into homeownership. We need to talk about race and equity in the homeownership space. The National Association of Realtors reports that in 2020, the homeownership rate increased for all Americans to 65.5%. But when we look closer, we see that white Americans have the highest rate at 72%, Asian Americans at 61%, Hispanic Americans at 51%. That's an all-time high. It's the first-time homebuyer rate for Hispanic households over 50%. But Black Americans are just at 43%. Furthermore, they're the only racial group whose homeownership rate was lower in 2020 than it was a decade ago. In 2010, the homeownership rate for Black Americans was 44%. Working together, I know we can do better. Last year, 52% of new homeowners created in the NeighborWorks network were people of color. Of those, 18% were Black Americans. HDF reports 21% of their homeowners were Black or African American, and 21% of their Hispanic throughout their 25 years of activity. We must do better. Success in homeownership should not depend on one's race or ethnicity. NeighborWorks has allocated $900,000 for special grants and initiatives to help our network organizations advance strategies to increase minority homeownership, to explore equity in lending. I applaud HDF's establishing of the Homeownership Equity Fund to offer down payment assistance for people of color and for making advancing minority homeownership a clear priority in their strategic plan. I applaud the many partners who have taken on the challenge of equity and inclusion. We will move forward together and we will see progress. I also would like to conclude with a call to action. And that's simply this: please support the Housing Development Fund. Its NeighborWorks certainly will. HDF's success and impact didn't just happen magically. They have benefited tremendously from your strong support and investment. But ask yourself, what kind of impact could they achieve if they had more? I ask you to continue to support the work of HDF and organizations like this one. You can support them in many meaningful ways. You can be a source of much-needed flexible capital or position to open up pathways for flexible capital. You can support and invest in innovation and testing of new strategies. You can together develop responsible loan products. You can cross-market and refer customers. This is really hard work, but without nonprofits working in communities, we would not see the 161,000 customers receiving homebuyer education, the 197 rental apartments owned and managed by the NeighborWorks network, the 79,000 homes repaired, the total investment of $16.8 billion in communities. And those are just some of the network accomplishments of the last year. Communities thrive when residents are engaged, leading charge to make positive change. When there's a local infrastructure of strong nonprofits that have the capacity and the resources to access affordable homes and improve their lives, magic happens. The COVID-19 pandemic put a huge spotlight on how fragile we are and how fragile our communities can be. It also taught us an important lesson. We can do more. We can effect more change when we work together. Now is an important time for cross-sector partnerships. Now is the time to recognize the home is center to families and individuals, particularly right now when many of us are still working from home, educating our children partially from home, maybe even accessing telehealth from home. The home anchors everything for the family and individual. Please continue to invest in organizations in your community so that we can make together home possible for everyone. Thank you. I think we have questions? Or time for questions? Yes? You can also say no, but I
Yes.
thought that I heard there might be some questions.
Yes. Hi, Marietta.
Hi
How
there.
are you?
Good.
Are you concerned about a new foreclosure crisis now that the moratoriums have ended? And if this situation different than the Great Recession?
You know, it's a really good question, both on the rental side as well as the homeownership side, as moratoriums they expire. The moratoriums were put in place, obviously, as an emergency measure during a pandemic, and no one expected them to last forever. So I understand that they have to expire, but what's coming after them? We still have people suffering and financially unstable, and so I think it's really important that we think about how we respond to those expirations, make sure that there are comprehensive services available in communities. But it does worry me very much. And I think there are communities who are trying to get ahead of that and put wraparound services. I know, for example, in Massachusetts, there's a program where they're connecting people at risk of eviction and foreclosure with job and health and other services. And I think those, when we think about it in a comprehensive way, it's sort of what I'm talking about. It's time for those cross-sector partnerships. For so long, housing and other sectors really seem to be very siloed: housing, healthcare, education. And I just think those days are over. With so little resources available, we really need to work together cross-sectorally. So I am worried about it. I think if we can work together and pull resources and think about a community as a whole, I think that would be very helpful, because we know that those moratorias will expire. Other questions?
morning.
Good morning.
Do you think the rent to own is a viable option for low to moderate income borrowers? And do you have any examples of that or any pitfalls to avoid?
Yeah, the rent to own model and strategy can be a compelling one. I think the biggest pitfall we've seen in the network is where the renter wants to buy, but when it comes time for them to buy, they don't necessarily understand or appreciate how to pivot from being a renter to an owner. And now maintenance and other things are their responsibility. So I think it's really important, if you have a rent to own program, you're working with that home buyer throughout the time to prepare them to take on that responsibility, because it can sometimes be a tough shift. But in some communities, it's working really well. I know we have an organization in St. Louis who has had that program. It can be sometimes also difficult, whoever is administering the rent to own. The other pitfall is now you're managing, in some cases, single family homes in a large area. So doing maintenance and services to a much larger geographic footprint can be also a challenge. But they can work if you think through some of those challenges. Yeah. Come on, there has to be one more out there. No? I heard there was a CRA question out there, but no. And I even prepared a really good answer. I will say regarding CRA, I know there's some financial institutions in the room and some community groups that are watching that. The bank regulators have been thinking about how to modernize CRA for quite some time, and they just put out a joint proposal that's almost 700 pages long with over 100 questions for us to consider. I really encourage you to look at it and provide comments. When the modernization of CRA happened before, the OCC went out on their own. But I think now with the Federal Reserve, the OCC, and the FDIC coming together, the prospect of that being successful is much more important. But I think there are opportunities to think about what CRA modernization looks like, particularly in light of so much banking happening in the digital world, and how we can ensure that CRA is really focused on underserved communities in a variety of ways, and how financial institutions are incentivized to participate in those communities, and how that regulation can be mutually affirming to other regulations like fair housing. So I think there's a real opportunity. I think there's a real will in Washington to try to get this right, but they need to hear from communities. So I would really encourage you to get a strong cup of coffee or whatever your elixir might be, and sit down with that very large document and provide comments. I think comments are due August 5th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
If the pandemic taught us anything, it was that there was also a huge gap in technology access at the low income families. Just the cost of broadband internet to educate their kids that were staying home, and you have more and more people that are working remotely, starting companies. I mean, I'm one of them who's starting a company, but I have a remote office, and I also have a work from home situation. So, and I don't see any companies here that are internet broadband providers. And I know that Caroline, you've been big into supporting infrastructure and technology and startups in the state of Connecticut with CT Innovations and all the work that they're doing. But that's an area that I think that needs to be focused on, and making it more, all low-income housing having, broadband wiring, and put in, and sort of also the cost of it adjusted for those people, because look, I mean, you have two, possibly 3 years of kids who were educated from home, who were doing it on their phones, laptops, and it was really bad. And I'm lucky enough to have had good Wi-Fi, so I was able to keep my company going and my kids educated. But that's one of the areas that I look at as being the biggest gap between, those that need not only in this area, but all around the country.
I couldn't agree more. Access to affordable broadband is a huge issue. There's still very large gaps in the country, particularly in rural communities and Native communities. And it is an equity issue. And I think we're not, it's a critical lifeblood for employment, again, education, healthcare. I do want to encourage telecom to really take this on. I know a few financial institutions are trying to build some partnerships with the telecom industry to really promote in their footprints more equitable access to affordable broadband. So I appreciate you bringing that up because it is, in, like I said, particularly in rural and Native communities. Well, I'm really excited, despite the pandemic, that we were able to get together, and I was able to come and celebrate and toot HDF's horn a little bit. You're so fortunate to have such a strong organization working in this community, and please continue to support them. We will. I appreciate what you all do every day to support affordable housing throughout the country. Thank you so much.
Marietta, thank you so much for sharing your experience and perspectives with us, and for all of your really kind remarks about HDF. Our next feature is a video that we did that really tells the visual story of the development of the Community Land Trust, Washington Crossing, and also includes an introduction to some of our future home buyers as they take a first look at their units. It also captures the combined efforts of the HDF team, who are constantly working behind the scenes, expanding the supply of affordable homes for purchase, revitalizing the neighborhood, preparing future home buyers for this rare opportunity with counseling and education, and then when home buyers are selected, with down payment assistance and access to first mortgage opportunities that are safe and sound. We are really grateful to Danny and Sharon Ameri for their amazing production of this video. So.
It's always been a dream of ours in the South End to have a developer come in and build some housing that was affordable, that people could buy, deed restricted, that would help families have a foothold in the community.
$22 units at 50% of the area median income, it can be more affordable than that.
This neighborhood is very much in transformation, and so we do have an obligation to make sure that even as we put up glass towers and create new nice restaurants and bars and good jobs, that we have diverse and inclusive communities.
This should not be a unique experience. If we are doing our jobs right, this should be the first of many that we do over time and create those opportunities.
It's a real challenge to make it affordable for 50% of area median income. But as we all know, those are the people that we rely on. They are our infrastructure. So they need to be able to have a decent life nearby where they work and live.
Yeah, 4D, so. Wow. I can't believe I'm here. Walk-in closet. This is, I don't even know what to say because this is just amazing. I can't wait when I have my son come and look at this. After waiting for so long, I didn't know I would be able to be a homeowner in this town. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Owning things or securing the bag before, like, you know, you're ready to do the next step. So like having a job and income and having a house, because like, you know, if you want to have kids later or you want to get married, it's good to have like things that are specifically for you. This is like a big like check in my book.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
This is so pretty.
Yes, this is the unit. It's
Oh
beautiful.
my God. Wow. Oh my God, this is cool. Thank you, Roxana. I'm so grateful. And I'm so happy that this is finally accomplished. Finally. And I'm glad my daughter's going upstairs. I told her, I said, if you don't do anything, buy while you're young. Buy now. This is my daughter, my best friend, and she's gonna be living on the second floor. I'm on the first floor. Wait a minute, Erica. Look at this, the subway tile, everything is beautiful.
For us to actually be owning and we're not renting and we're gonna get to see each other every single day, it means a lot to be with my mom. Just to have her support and know that she's still gonna be there, it means a lot to me.
You have no idea how happy we are. I don't have.
Wow. What was the best part of that? Two parts. First of all was how quickly the dumpsters got filled up and how unpacked they were as opposed. So we lost a lot of money not filling those dumpsters up and compacting them. That's another story. But seriously, the smiles on the home buyers, those smiles bring tears to my eyes. So thank you all for those that participate. I'm going to mention a couple of them because I can't help it, because I laud every time I'm with my good buddies at Ashforth. I'm going to laud Joe D'Orlando and Tom Walsh right sitting over there from Ashforth Construction. Marvelous job. And I get a discount next time, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Many, many other. Gina Delano, in specific, I want to point out. Where's Gina? Gina was the CFO of HDF for many years. She took on this project as project manager, and she was as good as anyone I know, wasn't she, Tom? Yeah. So thank you, Gina. And although Gina's semi-retired, she's not letting go of this job. So, and she wants to do another one. So thank you all for those involved. Right now, we have a little piece of business to do. I'm going to introduce my very good friend, Michael Chambers. Don't stand up yet because the roof's not high enough. Michael, there he is. Michael is the executive director, I call it, of the Per and Astrid Heidenreich Foundation, a very active family foundation in the area. Thank you, Per and Astrid, for the work that you do in the community, and Michael for leading it. Michael can tell a little story about where he's come from and how he got to be where he is, because I'm going to use him for that purpose. So, Michael, please come up, my very good friend.
So these guys are so efficient, they actually gave me words to give to you. So want to thank you all for being here. I'm a new board member, an excited board member of HDF. A couple years ago, Clay asked me to join him at his table for this event, and I of course said yes. And I got here, and I really thought I was just going to another event. And as I got here and I kind of heard about HDF, it really resonated with me. Not only because I enjoyed the message, but I remembered when shortly after I graduated college, I grew up a low-income kid in Greenwich. Sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. I was looking to buy my first place, but as you might imagine, there wasn't a lot of money. And so as I did my research, I learned about this little organization, and I sat down with them, and the first question they asked me was, what's your credit score? And the last thing I had ever thought about credits was graduating college. And so I think I doubled what I would need to graduate for college, and I said, it's probably around 300. And they looked at me, and there was, I swear to God, there was like a jump team that came in and were like, all right, we're gonna have to fix this guy quick. My credit score wasn't 300, and lo and behold, I did not proceed with HDF for a lot of other reasons. But I always remembered that organization that I sat and spoke to. And so when Clay asked me to come to the event and I started to hear the message, I started to realize that was the group that put me on the path to home ownership. And ironically enough, the feature family of that morning's breakfast was a mom and her son who I had grown up with in housing in Greenwich, who were both HDF clients. It's kind of funny how the world works. And so I sat there and I realized what HDF was doing was creating generational wealth. As we sit and try to figure out how to sidestep taxes and how to protect ourselves from estate taxes, these families are looking for an opportunity to step into wealth. And it begins with the help that comes from HDF. There was a representative who recently said in the news and made some news who said, housing isn't a right, it's a need. Well, it's funny, we don't feel that way when it's our kids. We don't feel that way when it's our families. We feel that way when it's the less fortunate. And so as you stand here today and you take in these messages and you hear my words, I ask you to think about this. What can you do for HDF? The work that these guys do requires dollars. The work that these guys do requires volunteers. And so as you sit here today and you enjoy the stories, please ask yourself, would you be willing to invest in an organization that creates someone like me? Would you be willing to invest in an organization that is putting people in homes right here in the south end of Stamford and across Connecticut and other states? So thank you for being here. Really appreciate your time. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael, for sharing your story. I'd like to take a few minutes now before we wrap up to ask Gina to come up. So Clay stole a little bit of my thunder, but we are so grateful to Gina for the awesome job she did in managing this project. Yeah, she deserves lots of rounds of applause.
I have to say, though, there's no better partner. This woman knows how to get money, but I know how to spend it.
Yeah, and that's what we need, right? A delivery system. Thank you, Gina. I also wanted to point out that the centerpieces are baskets, welcome baskets for all of the homeowners. And we also have little cards on the table. If everybody could take a minute and just write a note of welcome to our home buyers, the 23 home buyers that will be hopefully moving in after we get the CO and they secure their first mortgages. We've already kind of lined them up for the other levels of assistance we'll be able to help them with. And I think, people, as you saw some of them on the video, they're all incredibly wonderful, hardworking families who are overjoyed that they're going to be homeowners in this wonderful city. And once again, just to echo, we are, very appreciative of the support of all of our partners, and we thank you again for it. We rely on it. It helps us get our jobs done. It's gas in the tank. That's the way I like to look at it. We're not driving the car anywhere unless we have gas in the tank. So thank you so much for that. I'd also like to remind you that we're holding the tour. We'll have a bus in the lobby, I think in about 15 minutes, so people can take their time kind of gathering their stuff. There will be staff and signs, I guess, in the lobby to help, to assist you. We hope that you'll be able to join us and actually see these beautiful new homes. And thank you so much for coming today. It means the world to us.